broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your #1 source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Snaps to you, fellow Face-Off fans, for joining us tonight. Welcome to Season 9, Episode 12, Death Becomes Them.
Oh
Wasn't that dramatic?
Oh,
That was so dramatic. For those of you who are not watching on YouTube, I just did something very dramatic. So go watch on YouTube. And if you haven't done so already, go ahead and subscribe to our channel, AFTERBUZZ TV. Also, check us out on iTunes, SoundCloud. Rate us, subscribe, comment, let us know what you're thinking. We love hearing from you guys. I am your host, Alana Jordan, and today I am joined by two of my favorite people ever.
Oh.
Yay!
Oh,
my favorite?
I'm going first. Hi, everybody. It's Alexis Torres. How are you? I know I haven't really been here and there, but I missed your faces, and I'm ready to talk about this episode because it's awesome.
And
you can find me at atorres890. I'm sorry. I got excited.
I'm sorry.
But we have to talk about this beautiful person next
Hi, guys.
We are very excited. This episode was too awesome, so we had to bring back more awesomeness.
Well, this is like right up
From-
my alley.
Yes, this was like the
Mysterious and
made
spooky.
for Keaghlan episode.
I'm so jealous.
Season 7, crossing into Season 9. We got Keaghlan Ashley in the house.
Hey guys. Ow.
Bring
it on, bring it on. Keep it
Okay, yeah, no, like, seriously, like, she's
Which
gorgeous.
I was so
tuned
excited
into this.
because you dyed your hair black for like the first time ever, and I was like, perfect, the
did.
goth episode, and your natural mermaid hair would not let it be.
I like it though.
I dyed my hair black, like trying, and apparently I was making a statement by doing so. And as it started to wash out, the blue was just like, nope, I'm back.
And it looks great though, but I
Thank
just
you.
love that it's your mermaid DNA. It
My
just
natural
won't.
blue just refuses to be black.
And
It's
I'm
just
okay with this. It's what I wanted today. I know Elena wanted black hair, but I was like, I hope her blue hair's here.
Don't worry, I'll do it just for you, baby.
I wanted a black wig that didn't look
You
like
should've told
garbage,
me
but I
I-
don't
you-
have one.
You know I have them, girl. You should have let me know.
I like your blonde hair. Stop it.
I got that
Aw,
Morticia
thank
swag
you.
on for you next time.
I wanted to go all Morticia Adams
know.
because
Which, fabulous. You're looking wonderful.
well, thank you. Fun fact, top half of Elvira, top half of Morticia. They are one and the same.
They're right
all
there.
of the
It's
spooky
fine.
babes. You got some Elvira, you got some Morticia, you got...
Which is fitting for this episode because this episode we're kind of wondering what it was going to be based off of the title. This is probably my favorite challenge, I think, ever.
Yeah, it's actually
I'm
pretty
really,
awesome.
really, really, really jealous because I love making horror stuff with that kind of fun.
It's so cool.
whimsy.
It was the quirky macabre. We knew it was coming.
I was just waiting for it.
We
I was
knew
like,
it.
This has to happen.
But
like,
this was
now.
the best incorporation of it. So the challenge was really cool. It was based off of kind of the Munsters and Addams Family, where a little biased because I work for
here we
Universal
go.
Studios with the
I was
Universal
like-
Studios
First
episode.
thing when I was watching this, I was like, oh, Elena's gonna be all over it because it's Universal Studios and they're in horror.
I was
lines
kind
right
of
now.
sad that we were not sitting next to
Yeah.
each other watching it so you could hear my
know.
audible
I was-
squeal.
I was talking about Muppets. That's what was happening.
The Muppets are so good.
Yup.
Watch that one too.
Yeah, no.
After this one.
Yeah, no.
I hear it now. So they went to Universal Studios to, as one does for horror, the Desperate Housewives.
Wisteria Lane, obvi.
Wisteria Lane, before it was Wisteria Lane, was Colonial Street, which housed the Munsters. 1313 Mockingbird Lane.
NBD.
Yes, no big deal. So, if you go back and watch Desperate Housewives, Bob and Lee lived in that lilac house. Look at just the architecture of it. That was the
Yeah.
original Munsters house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
I
so
had no-
Face Off.
I'm a bad fan. I had no idea.
I did, but that's my job.
Yeah,
so.
no,
You're supposed to know that.
No, I go all the time, so I'm just so used to hearing all the tour guides tell me about that. I'm like, I know, move on, Elena's better. Okay.
Yeah. See, I pay her to say that.
Yeah.
I'll say it all day.
That's a joke. I don't have money. I work at Universal. So tying it in. So they had all of these awesome tombstones in front of the house, making it all dark and macabre again, but bringing in the whimsy because it was bright purple.
Yeah, I was like, wait,
Yeah,
what?
of course.
Replacing the ugly fountain from Desperate Housewives with awesome tombstones. And each one was an homage to a quirky family member archetype.
Yep.
So they had to make their own spin on these different creatures. And I loved that it was like the Dark Bachelor, where it was
Yeah.
like, take a rose and place it on the grave.
Yes, I was like, what are we doing? Are we doing a Bachelor? But like, are they gonna like come out of the ground? I think I would have been real cool. Like,
if only
yes.
grabbing their
Yes.
hands. Just
And,
one gag like that.
I would have been happy. Just one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
See, then I would watch The Bachelor.
They just did that.
That's all they need.
I probably still wouldn't.
You're right. I would watch that one part as a GIF on Reddit.
Over and over and over. On Reddit.
And giggle. So before the episode even starts, they give us a little teaser, and Mackenzie announces the shock of the competition.
I was like,
Dun dun dun.
Probably another reason, yes, that this was my favorite challenge was because it was riddled with twists.
So many.
This was, it should have just been called the twist.
But wait, there's more.
Dun dun dun.
Dun 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 dun.
I'm telling you, I've never seen the suspenseful music caption as much as this evening.
They just needed it every like 5 seconds.
The chipmunk.
Yeah. Dun dun dun. Zoom in on my face.
That was mine.
The chipmunk actually said that. That was they
that's-
cut that off,
yeah.
and that was the.
I know,
full-
he's really hard to work with. I had to give him coffee, and it was the worst
It's-
gig ever. He gave me the worst faces every time I brought him coffee because it was just never the right. He just needed hazelnut all the time.
It's the worst. I'm telling you, diva.
Yeah, no.
That's why I won't work with kids or pets.
I knew it. It's in
That's
her
a lie.
contract, guys.
But
she works with me.
Them, so. Like, give me other creepy kids.
Like you guys are like my adorable human kittens that I just loved. And
Oh, don't.
anyway,
start.
we'll get back into the.
Can we not talk about cats and really
So face off.
Yes. So, and then before they even go into the competition, I love that, because Ben was on the bottom last week, he was really nervous about it.
Woof.
Said that he had to muster up all of the energy that he didn't have.
And he got the perfect family. relative.
Yeah.
I was gonna say,
that one was kind
little
of
did
meant
he
for
know he was going to muster up the energy.
Oh.
Hadn't had a pun yet. Had to throw it in.
I was like, no, we're starting on
See what you did there.
So we'll kind of go in order of how we found out. There wasn't a real winner for this competition for this episode because we're down to the final 5.
It's crazy.
That's
how
insane.
quick this season has gone. I feel.
Yes, it's just flown by because everybody's been so phenomenal, and they've just
Yep.
it's crazy that it's just been a whirlwind of a twister, if you will.
I was like, I was sitting there like,
You're
I was
waiting,
waiting for
you're
it. Is she gonna do it? And she
for
did.
So
It's been a really like heavily weighted talent cast. Like,
Yeah.
insane.
and a lot of my friends, just saying.
And then
I mean, you
we
got
get
cool
to
friends.
the next twist
they talented.
that we're going from the final 5.
Okay, sorry.
Yes, very. We're going from the final 5 to the final 3.
Yeah. Nuts.
We're eliminating 2
Yeah.
people this competition, so we didn't really have
Alexis
a
not
top
lucky.
look or a bottom look. We just had an order of the top 3 finalists.
Yeah. Well, they always have to have at least a few double eliminations a season. I feel like.
Yeah.
We always get victim to it at one point or another.
I know, and those are always the saddest episodes because I'm like, no, they're 2 people. It's too much.
Yeah, and it's
I don't
such
like
a
change.
it's such a dramatic change too in the house. Like just
I
going
imagine.
from like that much
Well,
energy
now from
5
you're
to
cutting
3.
almost in half.
Yeah.
So,
No, it's crazy.
but
you can't cut a person
everybody
in half. So
That would be weird.
on this show, I would not. They could make it happen.
I mean,
I'd be impressed.
well,
And
That
they would
would
be
be a
like, I would love
serious-
some just shine on there, and it would be great.
it'd be great. We'd be fine.
That'd be
It's
a
a
serious
perfect
waiver
summer,
to
but-
sign, though.
That'd be a really weird. That'd be a weird waiver to sign. Would you like to be cut in half?
Like all I want to know is it permanent, and will you bump up my rate for that.
Yeah.
I asked the same question in reverse order because I have my priorities straight.
No, I mean, like, yeah, if you pay me more, maybe, but like, if it stays like that, how much more are you gonna pay me? That's the question.
They're like, half.
Oh,
You get
I'm done.
a cut. All right.
Done.
Make it double or nothing.
Yeah.
Ow.
So Ben clearly had nothing to be worried about this episode at all, though.
He had a clear path to what he wanted. I was like, okay, I'm not worrying about you. I'm just gonna move you
I
over.
was so excited for him to get that one.
I'm gonna
Ben
have
ended
nightmares
up
forever,
having
I will say.
the inappropriate uncle, which was the creepiest, coolest thing
kind of
I
up
think
his alley.
I've ever seen. Well, it was
just
so
like-
cool too. It was the first time he'd ever done ethnic makeup, and it looked perfect.
I was worried.
Yeah.
Was anybody else worried when he was like, I can't do ethnic makeup, and the first thing that comes up is like this bright orange. I was like,
I mean, anytime you're doing that kind, like with skin tone in general,
Yeah.
you really start with a crazy contrast. And you know, for me, like I just know how difficult ethnic makeups can be, and like
help it, man. Brown
especially
skin's
because
hard.
generally, I mean, they're starting from white foam latex, so to really
Yeah,
get
that's true.
that kind of depth and the range of color that it needs, because it's not just one tone. There's so much that
It looked great, and he did the
it was
texturing
beautiful.
that
It was
just
so
was
difficult
spot on.
when it
pulling
comes
him
to
to
our-
Dina piping tricks.
Yes,
That was
it was
crazy.
so
Yeah.
cool. He just did amazing texture. V pointed
yeah.
out how realistic it looked.
Oh, absolutely. It was
And
beautiful.
It was so smart. He did these big, accentuated, giant nose.
Pores
The
and-
yeah,
Pores were so gross.
the
Oh, yeah.
which I love that he was like, I think male pattern baldness is funny, and
And he's just in there giggling
like,
to himself. I was like,
I feel like most of the
so
makeups that
good.
he does are just to make himself laugh. But that's how I would do it too.
this was, you knew that this was going to be the top look because he walks out and just, it's a moment of silence and then just everyone like the trying really hard to be professional, but it's like
Yeah.
it's too good. I
I loved that, you know, we had that element of bringing the wife on vacation.
That was
It's such a
great.
like Weekend at Bernie's
yeah,
kind of feel.
with a more
Like-
with a more really inappropriate dark twist.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, you got to have that morbid sense of humor with, you know, the monsters and with Adam's
Yeah.
family. That's right up. I think it fit the challenge really well.
It was perfect to do
Yeah.
a macabre whimsy. Is
Oh, yeah.
the most difficult combination
Oh,
of
absolutely.
descriptors, and so I
Yeah.
love that he did like the kind of the Weekend at Bernie's
Yeah,
thing.
no, it was smart.
Well, I think that it was great that he did keep it with, like, you know, a natural skin tone, but then that caricature sculpture. I think that if he didn't, I think if he went a little further with it, it wouldn't necessarily work. And it was a
just
nice blend.
It was just so good.
Yeah,
Like, I
and you
can't-
could tell that the model loved it and was
Oh,
playing
my
it
Did
up.
you see
gosh.
that dance that he was doing with his
Oh.
wife? I was like,
So good. And for the first time this season, one of the models spoke and
Yeah,
told
did you
V, this could be you.
and I was like, stop, make it stop.
Could I love
I
you
love
more?
it.
And V was like, nah, okay, we need to go.
Yeah. I love when they really showcase what the models can do, like, because it's, you know, without that person inside that makeup, I don't think it could have been as successful.
Yeah.
You know, like, if you get somebody that can't play up that creep factor, then you're gonna just end up with a cool makeup, but
The
not
eyes
much else.
was just...
Just
and I
that
love that he had no
creepy-
eyebrows too, so he was just like, you know,
Pulling that
moving
Whoopi
his face. I was like, huh,
yes! By the way...
I was sitting there by myself and I was like, why does this person remind me of Whoopi? I'm not gonna say anything though.
It's
It
like,
was like if Richard Pryor and Whoopi decided to have a baby, and it was
Yeah.
like,
And then
real
it got
creepy.
old and weird.
And it just like didn't
Richard
grow up
Pryor
really
and
well.
Whoopi Goldberg's weird old baby is basically
They're like love
what
child
Ben
that just,
created.
Like,
well,
just
it really
lost his
was
wife and it was just gross.
George from what is it?
Family
All in the Family?
Ties?
Family Ties.
Family Ties, All in the Family. I don't know. I have to double check. But
That's
yeah,
a little
nah.
before my time, but either way.
I mean, I know the show. I just
Yeah, yeah. It
There's
was
too many
spot on.
Family Matters. Like there's too many of those shows in that time, and I'm like, I don't know
Yeah,
which one's
yeah.
which. But no, creepy.
It definitely fit in that atomic, messed up, warped family.
Oh yeah,
it
that was the
it
cousin
didn't
that you're
even
like,
look
nope.
like a makeup. It looked like
Somebody's
a
face.
person, like
Yeah.
a character. It was so perfect.
Absolutely.
And you
yeah.
would watch that movie.
I
Like,
would.
hands down.
I would
Everyone
have
would.
nightmares forever.
I would watch that movie in a heartbeat. Like, absolutely. Sign me up.
Hilarious. I love it. So,
great.
congratulations, Ben. Very well earned.
2 thumbs up.
2 thumbs up. Moving toward.
Yes.
That's 2, 4, 7
Yes.
thumbs up.
She can math, guys.
I can't.
If you
so
didn't
good
know
on
she was
her.
holding up her mask, iTunes listeners, because you're like 7. How many thumbs do these girls have?
Well, I mean, there's
Surprise,
6
iTunes. We got secrets. So,
Oh my.
second, moving on in the competition, my girl Nora.
Dude, Nora
Holding
killed
it down.
I love
Nora,
you, Nora
really went with the Munsters theme. She had the black sheep uncle, and she kind of made a Marilyn Munster vibe.
adorable.
Where she had an
Oh, my
actual
goodness.
sheep that her parents were all dark and macabre, and she was the quirky,
Yes.
happy, which, talk about models bringing things to life. I was like,
She
this
was
is
the
Megan.
Megan.
If Megan was
I
a
was
sheep,
like,
this
yeah,
is Megan.
I just love that, you know, like, of course, the black sheep from a satanic family would be somebody that loves puppies and rainbows
Yep,
and kittens
yep,
and sunshine.
yep,
like,
yep.
Paints her nails.
Yeah,
yes,
those
I.
giant green and pink nail polishes were my favorite.
Oh, it was perfect. If it had a little bit of epoxy on the nails, just to give it that little added
little
bit
shine.
of,
Yes.
that added bit of shine, I think that would have been just like the
so cool.
cherry on it.
It was so just awesome.
It
And
was
if
super cute.
somebody does not start selling those, my
She
parents
needs
are
to-
Satanist t-shirts.
Yes, she needs to start selling those shirts. Get on it, Nora. Like, make a
I
mint
will-
on that.
shut
Like,
up and
I
take
will
my
wear
money.
it all day.
I
every
will
day.
wear my hot pink, my parents are Satanist shirt with my Ben face undies, and it'll just be.
They're on it this season with marketing and like
Hey, man.
merch. I'm not even mad at it. I'm impressed.
I want all of it.
All of it.
I
Yeah.
want all of it, and I still want action figures of all of the kids. But
Yes, we'll get there.
I actually had somebody make me a pop figure of me. Yeah.
I saw that.
Oh,
Von
yeah.
Geek.
Yes,
Shout
Von
out to
Geek.
Von
Shout
Geek.
out to her. It's
Makes
the
custom
cutest
vinyls.
thing, the cutest bit of fan art I've ever received is just little me.
Von Geek is awesome.
Yeah, oh yeah.
So good.
Yeah.
So good. I still want a cuddly version of your sloth creature from season 7. But
I'm working on it, girl. I have so many other gigs going on.
I was like,
but,
sign me up.
oh no,
also.
my link's a Jew. I'm getting a plush of it. It just I have the face. I just need to finish the hands and then work out a pattern. But anyway,
Oh, I'm so happy for you. It's
I
good.
have to
Yeah.
cuddle it as soon as you're done.
It's just
Like,
gonna
that's
be so
my
cute.
goal.
Like, Bring, I love you.
Oh my God.
I want it to have a voice box, and I want it to be that.
well,
I
I
want
guess
it to be like the most messed up Build-A-Bear ever.
yes, no, absolutely.
I will take one without a voice because I have to babysit kids and things. I don't want to give them
Oh,
nightmares,
that's
but
fair.
yes, I will have one.
Yeah, I'll done. Pre-order starting now.
I don't
Heard it here
babysit kids.
first.
I have a cat, and they don't know English,
Oh,
so
just
it's fine.
Squeeze on it. I will be your friend till the end.
And that cat's gonna be like,
Ooh.
yes.
So Nora was a little, she really, really liked this makeup, but then was kind of apprehensive because at first the judges were saying, the hands look like boxing gloves.
And I understood
That's
what
their
they meant,
favorite
though.
critique when they fabricate hands. I feel like.
Yeah.
I mean, they said it once on my season. With, I think it was like Stella and Sasha that had boxing gloves, but those literally look like boxing gloves. But
Yeah.
that's if it looks too boxy and they fabricate the hands. That's generally like their go-to.
I felt like because this was just the twist episode, because they said anything negative, I was like, Nora's, she'll be fine.
Well,
They're trying to psych us out.
as they go into the finale, you're not gonna hear like those shredding, terrible, like punches you in the face with how bad it sucks remarks. You're gonna get
Jeez, that was a really good description of that.
you're gonna get more of the like, this is what I love about it, and these are the few things I would change. They're not gonna highlight as much about those negatives because everybody at this point in the game, they're showing their A game. They're trying to win it. So
There's a reason that they've made it this far.
absolutely, and because the more you progress in the season, the more you just understand where everything is in the lab, where everything works, how kind of their system of judging is. So you'll see them playing to the strengths and what the judges are looking for. So
Yeah, I think everybody just really rocked it out this episode.
there wasn't
especially.
one makeup that I was like, that is hideous.
Yeah.
Everything I was really, really impressed with. I thought they were all beautiful, good characters.
The only one that seemed to have a bit of trouble that they really focused a lot on was Evan.
I was worried for him for a second.
Yes.
He had the bully older brother, and he went literal with it, and he made it a
Yeah.
bull. But it was very clever spin.
Yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah, absolutely.
no.
That's
This
one
was-
of those things that they'll either love it or they will hate that you're so on the nose with it.
Yeah.
So if you're gonna do something that's so literal, you really have to be completely perfect with it. And I think that I was nervous for him because that sculpture he did was beautiful. It was gorgeous. Some of the some really nice detail work and everything with it.
The problem was he got a little psyched out from the beginning when Michael Westmore came in and said, this was looking a little too demonic.
Yeah.
And so he scrapped the whole thing and started over, which when you see that happening,
You're like, oh, okay.
Nora even walked over.
my heart
What did you do?
Yeah.
And just said what we were all thinking. Just,
Yes.
no, don't. But ended up, even though he lost time on that, still beautiful sculpt. And I think
absolutely.
making the horns a little smaller.
Was a good decision because I felt like the horns were a little too much.
I still would have loved to see his initial face sculpt with the smaller horns. I think the work that he had on that first face piece was beautiful.
I agree.
I don't think that, because he didn't really change it to like take it into more of a whimsical sculpture either way. I think that, that like only that one thing he could have taken away was the horns, and like that's what would have taken it.
And that would have saved him a lot of time, which then would have saved him time for his paint job, which was his main problem. So I think that was one where he just got a little too in his head.
Yeah. And that, like, especially when you're not really solid on your, I fell victim into it. When you're not really solid in your concept, or you're not really solid in your opinions on it, when Michael Westmore comes in, if he gives you something remotely like to the left of what you were thinking, well, you're just like, oh, okay, the god himself has spoken, so I must listen. It's
considering
really, it's really
for this
hard
challenge too.
It's really hard for you to like be able to commit, I think, to your vision when you're not solid on it, and be like, even if you think that he's like, if you don't agree with it, like, it's really hard for you to be like, well, I don't know anyway, so I'm just gonna listen.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Michael Westmore too is responsible for Herman Munster's entire makeup and for Eddie's ears. And so it's like, okay, the bar's been set pretty high.
Absolutely. And those makeups, like, they still hold up, like,
They do.
Oh,
Like,
yeah. Genius.
beautiful work.
And so when he comes in and gives you a critique, I could definitely see how it would be easy to say, well, okay, yeah, I'll go with what you say.
SF's Lovebird in the chat was like, I was so worried for Evan. I wanted to give him a hug, and I agree, because like at first I was like, okay, he changed his sculpt. I'm like, all right, cool, he's going with a different route. But then as soon as he started doing the last day applications and started doing his paint job, even I was sitting there going, why does that look familiar to me?
Because
And it didn't hit me until, what was it, Nora brought it up?
She pointed it out.
Yeah, and I was like,
he
man,
made
Nora's always on her,
the
on her
Bulldog
game.
Man that he made for the 100th.
I forgot.
It's basically the same makeup,
And
like the
with
same coloration.
back, I was
The
like,
sculpture, the paint job. That's
Very similar.
But it happens.
when you have a style, like it, and especially when all you're really working with is your style, like it's so easy to just kind of continue with your same like kind of shtick, and so it's really easy, and especially because you don't get to look back at your old makeups. You're
That's true.
You're completely
I never
isolated,
thought about
and
that.
like I found myself like I had like 4 or 5 gray makeups on the show without realizing it at any point in time, and so like now when I do makeups, I really cognitively tell myself like, what did I do last time? Okay, this color palette, maybe I'll move on. Try something new. So
Well, I loved in this one too that Nora points it out, and then he even says, Nora, how do I fix this?
Yeah.
And she's I just loved their whole interaction. It was
great.
so like just brother and sister goofing off, which is so fitting for a family episode.
absolutely.
When he had his
Well, at that
putting
point,
their
you, like,
prosthetics on,
yeah,
acting out their own characters.
At that point, like, there's just nothing but love between, like, castmates, because you've been together for so long, so.
And it's this incredible journey that you're going on together, so.
Yeah, it's really cute.
I loved it. But then, I just, not only do I love the camaraderie, but I love that everybody is really good to give good suggestions. And so, her suggestion was just take it out of that blue spectrum, switch up the color a little bit, which I think was good because ultimately, he switched his look up a lot because as Michael Westmore pointed out, he was saying the outfit was going to kind of sell it because it had the leather jacket, and he was saying, but it's a makeup challenge, not...
As soon as he said that, I was like, oh, yep, you gotta bring it back.
And it's things that you don't really think about like that because you're thinking of the overall
the aesthetic.
look.
Yeah.
And so he was just kind of wavering throughout, and kind of got to him because he ended up with some kind of splotches of color.
I think at that point when he realized, that it looked so close to, his original, his older makeup, I think the best approach would have been to just start fresh like he did. And I think that, like, if he had just give himself a blank slate, and instead of trying to build on top of an existing paint job, because then it's just going to get muddy, and you see that happen time and time again when people try to fix their work, and just blank slate it, because at that point, like, you still have that 1 hour of last looks to refine that, even if you have a really like just kind of blank slate to work with.
But it's kind of cool that twice he recognized, I need to start over, and so 2 different times, even though he knew it was going to take up some time, was able to kind of
and that's a risky move, because you like it could really hurt you in the end if it doesn't work out. So
which ended up
working out.
Jordan and Scott were all on the bottom.
That was rough.
And Jordan's look, he had the spinster aunt. His also looked like the makeup he made for the 100th.
Yes. Thank
so
you.
that was
that was also a very similar challenge.
Yeah.
Because it was asking for dark,
whimsical,
macabre, like whimsy, and that's something that like, especially like because that was the the Beetlejuicy kind of challenge, like, and like Beetlejuice and the Munsters and Addams Family, they all kind of tie into that like weird sense of humor.
It's all tonally the same.
I put them all in the same world, to be honest. That's like how
I mean,
it
anything
works.
gothic and creepy, we always associate.
Exactly.
Gothic comedy.
All the weirdo kids can sit over there.
It's like the Mighty Boosh of America.
But no, I mean, I was worried about him because his was so different, and he did point that out a lot in the episode. He's like, mine's really different, mine stands out, and this
he
and this.
also spent a lot of time creating this his whole concept was that this spinster aunt was yelling at the nephews, and so to get back at her, the nephew sews her mouth shut with her own yarn and ties her up with it. And he spent a lot of time creating the nephew
itself, which was cool. I've never seen, like, to my knowledge, I've never seen anybody build basically a puppet to go along with the character.
It was a cool idea, but I think he should have done that after.
Get everything else done, and then if you have time to go to some weird like little shtick.
Right.
But that's what always he kind of got in trouble with a lot through the season, was he's always fabricating but not working on his makeup.
Well, he made because you can take the hit on the puppet, you can't take the hit on the makeup.
No.
Yep.
So if he had made the puppet a little lesser quality, but it looked phenomenal, and it was a great concept. And the judges absolutely, even though it was kind of far off the realm of what was really being asked for the challenge.
I think though that like sometimes that big risk really comes in and like is a really big reward. Like sometimes they absolutely love that a challenge, like a makeup is just completely like blown out of the water in a challenge sense. Like sometimes it's one of those go big or go home scenarios where either they love it and like are amazed that you really thought outside the box of the challenge, or they absolutely hate it.
Well, that's what his Mean Irene character V said, that she loved the paint on it, but Glenn said it was too cartoony and went kind of too far off.
I think that there was only that way to go with it though, because the sculpt itself was so weird and like exaggerated in a caricature. I think that if he tried to do a realistic paint job on that, they would rip his forms apart. I think that if he hadn't gone in that weird, because you can kind of get away with really playing with physical features in that realm if you change that paint like that. I don't think that they would have liked it if he'd done more subtle, more natural makeup.
But I like that he at least broke up the purple. That was the one thing I was worried about. I was like, it's like a little
flat, too uniform.
And I'm really glad that I couldn't tell if it was like
the contrast.
Blue. Yeah, it was just,
well, I mean, he really like bumped up. There was a lot more highlights. There's a lot more contour with it.
Yeah.
Here, the feedback too that they gave him was that they needed to add kind of more shape and fill it out more.
I kind of wanted. I didn't mean to.
Go ahead.
But I know that he was talking about that he wanted to stitch up her mouth with like yarn. I felt like he could have made that a little bit tighter.
That was my biggest thing with it. I thought that
it still yell.
Well, I thought that it needed more form. I think it just kind of looked like the yarn was placed.
Yeah.
It didn't look like it was actually stitched through her mouth, like with like Billy and Hocus Pocus, where you actually like it would have to be cut through, to be.
That's what I was thinking was how cool it would be if he had went with kind of a Billy from Hocus Pocus, because that fits the genre so well.
Yeah.
Because he did kind of go more Beetlejuice and less monsters, whereas Hocus Pocus is
the
middle ground.
I just wanted it to be more subtle, where like you could see her lips, but if like she like moved a little bit, you could see green strings. Like through her lips.
If it really
That's what
like,
I wanted, you know?
I think that could have been cool. Even if like like you place string underneath the prosthetic first, and then apply the prosthetic and then more string. That could have been really cool.
Yeah, exactly.
That would have looked really,
I just feel
really
like
cool.
it was a missed opportunity. Not to be like nitpicky about it, but like the fact that he was just like,
I mean,
one and
nitpicky.
two.
You're in on the pun game.
Damn it. I'll take it. I'll take
that was
this
pun
one.
intended.
Yes, it was pun intended. I'll admit it. But no, but I completely agree, and I'm glad that someone else pointed it out.
Yeah, no, that was when I was watching the episode, I thought, like, it's really, I loved that concept. I thought it was really, really fun. I mean,
sorry. I'm still mad about it.
No, that's great. I love that. But at this point, like, you have to be nitpicky.
Yes. I got a snort. Okay, I'm sorry. Continue.
Yeah, no, I really think that, like, you have to be, like, that's the final five. Like, you have to, every little thing matters. Every little thing counts. And I am such a stickler for character. I think that, the thing that I loved about every single makeup was that they all had very distinctive. No one person was like, I did this, this is why I did it and it looks cool, and this is why.
I feel like the thing that I think was kind of frustrating for us on that regard was because this was such a good character choice, because it fit. This is a storyline point. Yeah. So if it's going to be a major plot point in the story of your character,
better make it work.
It needs to be something that you can imagine the audience has seen it visually happen.
And that's what I wanted, is I wanted that like wow factor of like the judges being like, oh yeah, could you show us what's going on? Open your mouth.
I would have
strings.
I would have loved to see more in the performance. Also, I think that if she was really like. Really selling that, like, she couldn't actually speak and, like, was afraid of her little nephew, I think that could have helped it a little bit.
She was kind of, like, waving back and forth, but she wasn't, like, and she was kind of, like, shifting her shoulders, but that was it.
Yeah, I think that, like, that would have been, I mean, and those are, again, little nitpicky things that,
Oh, there's a Miss Piggy in the studio, sorry.
Yes!
That was really good.
When we doing that makeup?
Just, a throwback to Alexis' earlier show. So watch The Muppets. It was on purpose.
Plug.
Sad way to save it.
But yeah, that was just the one thing that I sat there and I was like, oh, I think that would have been really freaking cool. But I mean, we all know how that turned out.
Yeah.
And I felt really bad.
And I gotta say, that was probably my least favorite of all the ones this episode. And I think if it had been just a single elimination, then I think that it would have been Jordan. That would have been, kind of a given.
Yeah. I'm kind of sad about our second person who got eliminated.
My goodness.
It was a heartfelt one. I don't know if you're going into that one next.
Yeah,
okay,
Scott.
Good segue.
Scott
that wasn't
this
planned.
Was a heart-wrenching situation. He had
my
stern father. Keaghlan and I got misty-eyed watching him.
I was like, how did you guys feel about this one?
Really did need a minute. Like, I felt myself, I was gonna cry a little bit. Like daddy,
and did anyone else notice it does look like Scott, right?
Yes,
absolutely. That was the coolest factor of
Scott, as a tribute to his father who passed away, and I love the way that he says this too, is he was like, I always wanted to bring my dad back, so now I'm bringing him back as a zombie, and you may think that's a little creepy and macabre, but it's my design and I can do whatever I want.
Well, he's my monster, and I do what I want. Yeah, I mean,
love it.
I think that, the coolest thing for, Face Off is that it gives you this chance to show you as an artist. So often we're just given, jobs that we have to just do, whatever designs, the director's asked for. And I think that, if you stop, doing makeups that are true to you, it shows. And I think that was hard for me to see somebody that, when you truly know that they believe in that makeup and to see them go home for it anyway, that is just it breaks my heart.
But at the same time, I'm glad that he got to go home on something that he could be proud of.
Absolutely. Yes. I mean, there's nothing, if you're going to go, at least be going home on something you're proud of.
And it was, he brought in the whimsy to it too, because he had it as a lobotomized zombie that was like a docile.
It was like Fido in a really funny way. That.
Cool. It was a very patriarchal Fido.
Yeah, absolutely. I thought it was really, really cute. And I could see where, it just needed maybe a little bit of bump just a little bit forward.
Yeah, I didn't notice until I don't know if it was Glenn or Neville who brought up the paint job, and I didn't realize how it was a little off. Like
it could have had more depth to it, but Michael Westmore even said, make sure you don't go too deep within this and make it too dark. And then that ended up being kind of the opposite feedback that they had.
Well, I think it, like, sculpturally, it didn't need to be super dark and, like, super...
Because they wanted a little bit more decay, I think.
I think
he wasn't going for.
Yeah.
I think that if he went in and, like, he even just took, like, some, like, cotton and latex or just to give it some, like, little, like, textural bits. Yeah, just,
it did feel a little too, like... smooth.
I think for you know, for a zombie, like, it really could have. I mean, maybe even with the wardrobe, like, kind of like dirted up a little bit, mussed up a little bit. You know,
it was too fresh a zombie.
Yeah, it was. The pipe was a great. I mean, especially for that color palette, I think that it needed to be a little like that color palette was such already in that decayed world that, you know, having a little bit more. You know, you don't even need to sculpt that in. You could easily just fabricate it on top of the makeup existing.
Yeah.
Just making sure that the timeline is consistent throughout the makeup, that the color matches.
If you're gonna go that dead with your zombie, make sure that the wardrobe speaks to it as well.
Yeah, because I think that yellow vest was a little too bright.
Yeah,
it was like Mr. Rogers. Like,
I loved that it was zombie Mr. Rogers.
It was
like that
with the hat and like him holding his
I
pipe.
would love you to be my neighbor. Like, please,
a Fido Mr. Rogers.
Oh,
like
why would you do
a combination
that?
we would not think we would see.
I
know. Well, so then after they say here are the 3 people on the bottom. Before they announce who is the 3rd finalist moving on,
Lord have mercy.
we get the ultimate twist.
That was ridiculous.
For the first time ever, they are going to give all 3 of them a chance to go back for another hour of last looks and change things based on the judges' feedback.
I'm so jealous about that critique. If I was given that kind of opportunity while I was on the show, like, I would have just cried.
I feel like everyone who has ever been eliminated in 9 seasons was
life.
going, what? No! Give me that!
If I had gotten that 1 hour, man, like, whew, she would have been a drag queen snake the end.
Yes! So... Evan ends up really, his I think changed the most.
Yes.
Because he ditched the wig, which we were talking about. The boys tend to put weird Party City wigs on
not
things.
to be completely like, you know,
sexist,
not to be completely sexist, but, you know, a lot of male effects artists don't generally work with wigs. Some do. There's definitely, I've seen some beautiful wig work from some men, but overall, especially the ones that are more gore heavy lovers of, you know, the body parts and everything, they don't know what a good wig looks like. They don't know, you know, you better put a lace front on that.
I think he was going with I think he was going for the 80s blonde villain.
There was like that
thing,
surfer dude, like, oh, bro.
Yeah, and that's what he was saying the whole time. I was just kind of like, oh, it's looking kind of green, bro.
I think, and that was the, like, with the contrast of the paint job, like, it just was not a good.
And since he made the whole cowl, V pointed out, you know, you're hiding all this work that you did.
I didn't think about that. I was like, oh yeah, you did do a full cowl.
You know, I could see a little bit why, like, there was, you know, with that kind of time frame, it's so hard to get a good seam on a cowl. So,
it had a pretty rough seam, but
like, I'm that nitpicky person that sees that. You know, most people don't. I think that it could have really, you know, even if he had the wig, have it be maybe a little bit like thinner, maybe a little bit like further back or something like that. I think it did like get lost a lot.
But I like that he ended up just drop kicking it.
Bye.
Oh,
it was like,
I was like, all right, here we go.
Done. Wig. Yeah. And then he was able to go back and really flesh everything out. So he was able to put the flesh tone like on top of it and really kind of
I loved what he did with the paint job afterwards. I think that, and that's, you know, really what he should have done in the first place, instead of trying to throw color right on top of it, is, you know, take it back, get it back to, you know, square run, and then paint on top of that. Because trying to fix a paint job, especially because it was so dark, that first paint job was so dark, that to go on top of it with reds and like pinks and all those other colors, like it got muddy. It got really muddy.
But he ended up getting kind of a get out of jail free card because having that extra hour, he was able to start over for the 3rd time.
No. I'm not bitter.
No, not bitter.
3rd time's a charm, though, man. He had to restart 3 times.
He did have to
That's like,
that
he really did.
Crazy. But
I'm not jealous of that, and I love that
you know,
he even said, you know, they say have fun with it, and at first it was, but starting over isn't fun. And then he had to do it 3 times. So
it's you really just have to like keep your spirits up in that instance. Like there's nothing else to do.
But props to Evan because it ended up pulling through, and he is now the 3rd finalist, which unfortunately left Jordan and Scott being eliminated, especially for Scott because he was given the least feedback, so he did the least. It looked better, but Glenn even said this was the strongest of the 3 going into it, but he didn't utilize the hour as much as the other 2.
But he didn't know.
I mean, didn't need to. I feel like this was one like I know Scott's too sweet to be bitter, but if I was Scott, I would be like, this is madness.
This table flip.
Yes, like all the tables would just be on the ground.
All the makeup tables.
All of the makeup stations, one after the other flipped. I thought technically that makeup was beautiful. It was a subtle, and I'm a sucker for a subtle like sculpt that just changes the person a little bit, just to give it that bump. And I thought it was beautifully like sculpted, beautifully painted. I thought like beautifully applied. You could not really find an edge there, even when with a zombie, like whatever edge making it a wound, you could have easily like gone.
And the bite on the hand was such a good detail.
Yeah, I thought that was great. I thought I'm a sucker for subtlety. Like I
loved it.
I love that he was like, oh, he's gonna get a bite on the hand because it's not like a Walking Dead zombie, but
Walking Dad though. Can we talk about that part?
Walking Dad. I love how he's like, oh, it could have been he got bit by his wife, maybe a love bite. I was like,
Scott with these puns. If I didn't already love you, Scott, you now like. Punny Scott is my favorite Scott.
Yes, right?
Walking
the minute
Dad.
you throw a pun in there, I'm yours.
Yes, forever. Good makeup and good puns. Good job, Scott.
Walking Dad, yes. I would watch that show. Like, it's like a Leave It to Beaver, but zombies.
But with us all.
Yes!
Oh my God. Somebody do that so I can just watch it all the time. Sorry.
I think it's called Fido.
Yeah, that's that movie.
You win. You already got my money. Okay,
I mean, but a sitcom of it, though.
No, I agree.
I needed more of that.
I like it. I think that would be an awesome show that I would watch.
But I love my 50s dead girls and boys. So.
Yes.
Well, duh, because that's the best category.
It is.
Not to be creepy.
No, that is the best kind of girls. Yeah. 19.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I love you guys. So, I think it was pretty evident that it was between Scott and Evan for, what was going to be the one that pulled it out.
Yeah. Rough.
Jordan did step his up a lot.
I absolutely loved the way that he changed, really, really quickly and really simply changed, the proportions. Like, it was just
in 1 hour. It was like he made a whole different
But that's what I love about him is that he works really quick and really fast. Like, I don't know how he's able to just do the things that he does in the amount of time that you guys
puffed out the wig and added the bottom.
Yes, that aunt needed some saggy boobies.
Yeah.
I was surprised that there wasn't saggy boobies in the beginning. He was like, come on, y'all. Nana needs some saggy boobies.
I don't know if I've ever heard the phrase, come on, y'all, Nana needs some saggy boobies, but I feel like that is what's been missing from my life. And I didn't know until now.
The Eddie Murphy movie.
Yeah.
Stepping on her boobies.
Yeah, no, it was great. The clumps.
There we go. I was like, wait, I know what it is.
I know what you're talking
I
about.
know she should have been knitting extra big socks to tuck them into.
Yes.
Like, that's like...
I would have loved that. There's extra padding somewhere just to be like...
Just in her Wonder Bra. That's down to here.
Yes.
I'm so happy you said Wonder Bra. That just made me so happy. But no, I thought you were talking about Norbit, and I was like, I know she was big, but I didn't know.
No. I'm thinking about the clump. I was like, I know Rick Baker did the makeup, but what was the name of the movie?
That was great. The clumps. Oh man, I love that. Oh, so creepy.
So
yes.
I love it.
This whole episode just...
That was too much.
It was
an emotional
a very emotional way to lead into the top 3.
Thank you.
But I gotta say, I'm really excited about seeing what the top 3 have. Ben, Nora, Evan.
My favorite line so far is, I'm going to take this finale and make it my So, yeah.
I mean, that's what everybody, I feel like, is thinking when they go into the show. They're like, I'm going to make it.
Yeah.
But
she said it, and I was like, yeah.
She's going to make it her witch.
Yeah.
Because that's the theme.
Thank you.
But I get it, editors. You found that nugget of gold.
Yeah, and I was
put
like,
it on.
I want it on a shirt.
And my parents are Satanist shirt.
Yes,
Oh my gosh.
We have a lot of shirts for you, Nora.
Come on,
Nora.
Syfy, we have a lot of things happening.
Dear
Work
Nora,
with us.
I will wear that shirt all day, every day.
Yes.
I will pimp it out.
Rep it. Rep it up.
Guys, can we just talk about how amazing next week is going to be?
I can't even process.
So
I can't believe
having
it's
the
already
finale.
the finale.
it's the finale, and they are making 3 short films
Lord have mercy.
based off of the top 3 makeups. This is something we've been waiting for 9 seasons. This should have been every
Seriously,
season.
I
Every
agree.
season needed this challenge.
I mean, I would have rather
I
have that than
cannot
that
wait.
weird dance one. I mean, I'm so proud.
all of the
everyone.
weird dance ones?
All of the weird dance.
I love the ballet one, I won't lie.
The
But
ballet one was
I'm a
good.
sucker
That
for
one's cool.
ballet.
No, that one was fine. I meant like there was like, oh, this person's gonna be breakdancing, and I'm like, what?
that techno remix.
Music
dance
video,
break.
guys.
I was like,
Yeah.
Make it a music video. Done and done.
Haven't we
Best
done
of both worlds.
Wicca wicca, you know.
Yes.
Yeah.
Wicca face off.
Twist. So
twist.
be sure to come back and check us out next week because we cannot
I don't
wait.
even know how to. All right.
And Lauren and Emma will be back as well. We missed them this week, but
I miss
shout out to
them.
you guys.
I miss you guys.
But where can we find you guys in the meantime?
Oh, okay. You can find me all over social media and where Alexis Torres are sold at atorres890. Also, I'm having my 100th vlog coming up, so send me your questions. So I'm going to be doing a Q&A. So use the hashtag AskAtorres890.
Nice. And Keaghlan.
You can find me on Twitter at Keaghlan Ashley. You can find me on Instagram at red_design. And you can also check out my YouTube channel. I'm putting some new stuff out there for you guys to check out. Some tutorials, some videos like that on my Keaghlan Ashley's YouTube channel. So check it out. Do it. Subscribe, click like, all the things. Do it. If you click like, I'll post more.
Yes. And definitely check out her Instagram. I'm obsessed with it. It's amazing.
Thank you. I'm gonna be posting my boots later. That's right.
And you can find me on Instagram at that Alana Jordan girl and on Twitter at Alana Jordan, as I am Alana Jordan. You'll also find us both back here next week when we see you guys for another episode of Face Off.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.